Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This channel of data science is all about trying to learn various concepts of data science while practicing a lot of questions. This video is in continuation of the series where we're trying to learn Python by solving interview questions from top tech companies like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix and Google. If you're preparing for any of this role, this is a great series to follow and build your concepts. So let's jump right in. In this video, we are going to solve this question on status crash regarding number of speakers by language. This question has been asked in Google and Apple interviews, and it's a great question if you're preparing for data engineer, data scientist, BI analyst, data analyst or ML engineer roles. Okay, the question reads, find the number of speakers of each language by country. Output the country, language and the corresponding number of speakers. Output the result based on the country in ascending order. Okay, so we are given two data frames, playbook events and playbook users, and our expected output is the Pandas data frame with three different columns: the location, the language and the number of speakers. Okay, let's inquire about these both data frames. So playbook events has 6 different columns: user ID, occurred at, event type, event name, location and device, and this is how it looks like. And then if we look at the another data frame that we have, playbook users, again 6 columns: user ID, created at, company ID, language, activated at and state. So if you look at in our output, what we want the location column and we want the language column. And if we look at it, we have the location column in the first data frame and language column in the second data frame here. So obviously what we need to do is we need to merge these two. Now, which column is the common column that we can merge these two data frames? User ID, right? So you have user ID here as well as here. So what we can do is, let's perform, since for every country we want the number of languages, so we can perform a left join. So what we can do is playbook event. So this is the first data frame, playbook events. Let's merge the second data frame called playbook users. So playbook users, how are we going to join this? So how is equal to left, and then we are going to merge these on the column user ID. And since the name of the column is same, so we can write on, we do not have to write left on or right on. So on user ID. And then if once you merge it, in our output, what we need basically is we need the location column, we need the language column, and we need the user ID column so that we can perform a count later on. So let's provide the list of columns that we want. So we need the location column, we need the language column, and we need the user ID column. Let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So now you have the location, language and user IDs. Now in our output, we need for every location and language a number of users speaking it. So let's save this entire thing in a data frame called df and then perform a group by. So df dot group by, because we need for every location and language, so we can provide a list of columns that we are grouping by. So group by the location and then the language, and then we can use the dot aggregate method that we have learned. So what is the final name of the column that we want? We want it as n speakers. So n speakers is equal to, take the user ID column that we kept. So take the user ID column and then perform a count. Now the counting can be either use the count function or use the n unique function. Count function will count all of them and n unique will count the number of unique user IDs. Now here, if you look at both of these data frames, so here you have, various event types, home page, etc., location. So obviously one user can have various events, right? So they can enter the info, they can log in, they can log out, etc., etc. So obviously when you perform a left join, same user ID can have multiple rows in your output. So that is why if you just perform a count, it is going to give you exaggerated result. But in our output, we want the number of speakers. So obviously a user ID, if they log in, log out and 5 different times, you cannot count them as 5. You need to count them as 1. So that is why you need to count unique. So you write n unique. Okay. Now, since you grouped by, we need both of them as columns in our output. So we need to perform reset index. Okay. Now let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So if I run this, so here you have location, language and the number of speakers. Now one thing that remains is output the result based on the country in ascending order. That is, we need to order by the location as well. So dot sort values, then by which column we are going to sort this? Location. and then by default it already does in ascending order. So let me go ahead and run this again. So now if you look at it, our output looks exactly like expected output. So yeah, let me go ahead and submit this to pass all the test cases. So yeah, everything is green, and this is how to do it. So yes, the first thing that we had to do was, since the columns that we want in our output are in two different data frames, so we performed a merge using the left join and on the column user ID, and then only kept those columns which were required by us in the output or we need to count. So we kept the location and language and the user ID column, and then based on the data frame that we created, we group by the location and language and create a column called number of speakers, where we count the number of unique users who speak that language. And then we reset the index because we want location and language as column as in our output, and then we sort the values by location because that is what is required in our question. So yeah, this is how we do it. Let me know if there's a better way or more efficient way to solve this question. Let the solution be in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.